Live from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Now at 6, when it rained, it did pour on the Bay Area today, and there is much more to come tonight, which is the last thing some folks need.
Parts of San Francisco were flooded tonight after a heavy band of rain blasted the city. It's also knocked out some Muni service.
In the East Bay, cars are spinning out, and cutting crews are working overtime trying to keep trees from toppling onto homes and power lines.
He just started shooting. He he shot him like 4 or 5 times.
And a police shooting in San Francisco sends the suspect and an officer to the hospital. And we begin tonight on the StormWatch. Good evening. I'm Juliette Goodrich.
And I'm Brian Hackney. Another round of heavy rain is walloping the Bay Area tonight. We'll get right to the satellite map, which shows where it's all coming from. This low pressure that's spinning a beam Mendocino is now sending this cold front through the South Bay, and some heavy downpours from time to time. It'll be windy and stormy tonight. Let's get you caught up on the KPIX 5 high-def Doppler, which shows the brunt of the front now in the South Bay and moving rapidly out toward the Sierra and foothills. We still have showers behind and post-frontal activity. As you can see, a line of showers now moving across central Marin. Over in the East Bay, scattered showers now after some heavy rain an hour ago. South Bay is where the action is, though. From San Jose and Livermore, the Tri-Valley area out through the Santa Cruz Mountains, it is still coming down. Rainfall over the past 24 hours shows 1.25 inches in San Francisco. Down in the South Bay, those numbers in the South Bay will have to be updated. That's from about 40 minutes ago. But still, at that moment, San Jose just had 1,400s. And plenty in Marin, where Santa Rosa had almost 2 inches of rain. More to come tonight. In Santa Rafael, about 2 1/3, and in Kentfield, 2 inches of rain. And the wind speeds, too. Wind has been a factor in all this. The gusts are still up to about 20, 30 miles an hour in parts of the Bay Area, even as it begins to ease up in the North Bay. So here's what's going to happen. Wind and rain will continue overnight, but the general tendency is toward things easing up. Not as much rain. The winds begin to relax, and in fact, will dry out in the week ahead. We'll have the complete details when we cover the forecast and more numbers, but first, here's the latest from Jules.
Well, we want to show you something just into the newsroom. This video of water cascading down the steps at the Van Ness Muni station. Wow. That flooding has now been cleared. Look at that. But there is no subway service. Is he doing a dance? Yes. There's no subway service between West Portal and Church right now. Now, the heavy rain also flooded low-lying intersections in San Francisco. A viewer, in fact, sent us this video from 15th Avenue and Wawona, and you can see the water there is knee-deep. KPIX 5's Betty Yu is there now. Betty.
Juliette, much of the water right now has receded, but the community is still in cleanup mode here in West Portal. Those torrential downpours caused some serious damage to many homes. Now, earlier, this is what 15th Avenue and Wawona looked like, more like a river than streets over here. San Francisco Fire responded to the scene to help clear out the gutters, but still people are looking at a lot of extensive damage in their homes, and in some cases the sandbags were just not enough to withstand the heavy rain.
How high did the water go?
I would say like maybe 4 or 5 inches. Like, oh, you can kind of see it here.
Wow.
Like right there. So it's pretty high.
My brother lost his car. His car's totaled. It was completely underwater. It's disappointing because this could have been prevented if the city would have cleaned the drains.
And residents tell us the last time they saw flooding this bad, it was about 6 years ago. Now, many residents are taking stock of the damage right now, many of them telling us their garages, the bottom floor of their homes are completely damaged. They're looking at tens of thousands of dollars in damages so far. And they tell us that this area sits at the bottom of 4 hills. So at the beginning of the season, when it rains, this area gets hit particularly hard. Now, as you saw, the flooding has also affected many Muni stations. SFMTA says that it is providing some bus shuttles as alternatives, and BART is also assisting at this hour, honoring many Muni tickets at certain stations. So be sure to stick with KPIX 5 as we continue to monitor conditions throughout the night. For now, live in San Francisco, Betty Yu, KPIX 5.
All right, Betty, thank you.
Now let's go live to Don Lynn. He's live along Highway 24, where it was pouring earlier today, but right now, like a lot of the north and parts of the East Bay, it's getting a break. Hey, Don.
Yeah, Brian, a break right now. That's why Highway 24 behind me is moving well. You know, the downpour really happened between 3 and 5 o'clock here in Orinda. Before the storm moved in, we caught up with a lot of families trying to get things done.
I like this. Yeah, this looks
pretty balanced here.
Christmas tree shopping, a tradition for the Winkle family.
It's pretty good. I like it.
Kind of fun to actually, shop in the rain. Some people don't like it, but I think it's part of the whole experience to be shopping in the rain, getting a tree. So actually, I like it to rain a little bit right now.
Right before the heavy rain moved in, plenty of families came looking for the perfect tree at the McDonald Nursery in Orinda.
We all want rain. We don't want to be in a dry year, so it's good. And everyone's in good spirits when they're shopping for a Christmas tree.
We worked on the gutters and cleaned them out, and got some pine needles off the roof and prepared for the storm, all while we hung up our Christmas lights.
Once the downpour started, reports of accidents also poured in. A driver unconscious after his car spun out and hit the center median. Good Samaritan stopped and helped before police got there.
911.
This happened just before 2 o'clock on Highway 24 near the Camino Pablo on-ramp in Orinda. The CHP believes speed and rainy weather played a factor in the solo crash. They say the driver should survive his injuries. It's one of many accidents that plagued East Bay freeways this afternoon, but the CHP says some drivers are going way too fast in the rain. The weather trouble extends well beyond the freeways. There are reports of downed trees in the East Bay. We found this crew cutting 4 large eucalyptus trees in Orinda. The homeowner wants to remove the trees, fearing they could fall on his house.
It's terrible, man. Everything's not nice and slippery, so it's pretty dangerous out here to work with the crew. We're trying to get them out of here as quick as possible because, you don't want any accidents happening today.
A very busy time around this time of year for the tree cutters. I know you've heard this many times before, but it's worth reminding the CHP, telling us to really slow down when driving in the rain. Live here in Orinda, I'm Darlene, KPIX 5.
Thank you, Don. Here's another reason why the CHP keeps telling us that, because wet roads probably played a role in this crash on Highway 24 overnight. 3 people killed when their vehicle hit a tree near the Orinda BART station. And that's what's left of the car, a red 2009 Nissan Versa. There's no word on how fast it was going, but the CHP says that it had been raining on and off all night when the Nissan veered across the lanes and hit the tree.
On the roadways earlier, probably around that time, it was probably a little wet. All the things that lead up to a collision like this, part of it's going to be, that will definitely be a factor, the wet.
Passengers were a 31-year-old man from Oakland and a 22-year-old man from Hayward. There's no ID yet on the driver, though, or on whether drugs or alcohol were a factor in the crash.
We have video now from San Anselmo where a large tree came crashing down across Spring Grove Avenue. It took some utility lines down with it, and so did this one about an hour up the road in Forestville. It landed on Green Valley Road. Luckily, no cars were passing at the time. A couple of pedestrians in San Francisco were not so lucky. They were hit by a falling tree at Locust and Clay. It came down just before 1:30 this afternoon. It was huge, about 30 to 40 feet. Crews were still working to clear it up when we passed by about 90 minutes ago. Both victims and a man and woman are expected to be okay.
Well, you know the recipe for delays at SFO, just add water. The storm is causing nearly 3-hour delays for people flying in. It's a little bit easier, but still frustrating for people flying out of SFO. They're experiencing 1-hour delays on average. More than 110 flights have been late so far today, and another 25 were canceled altogether. Stay with us for continuing StormWatch coverage through the newscast and throughout the evening tonight.